ดีหมดทุกคนผู้รับฟังทั้งวิทยุและก็ Facebook followers มื้อนี้หันพวกก็น้อยมีโปรแกรมพิเศษเพราะว่าได้ขอเชิญMr. Kamel Badwar จาก Lotus Funeral Cremation Service for ongoing support long term, very long time. So we invited him today to come and discuss and also explain the services of Lotus Funeral Cremation. So ขอบใจเลยขอบใจเลย
You can hear yourself.
ขอบใจ mean thank you. Yeah. So anyway, before we start, I just want to thank Lotus Funeral Home Services for ongoing service. Support to our Laoradio for long time, way before pandemic. Yes, thank you so much. So we appreciate your generosity and going support. Without you, we survive, but probably not as much as we are having liberty to introduce to our members, and we have this long time service by Ukut. She's been doing this volunteer work for how many years?
Over 22 years.
22 years.
Without pay, come out, can you believe that?
Without pay and we pay.
Yes, and we pay, you're right, yes.
And we pay.
ขนมมาเป็นvolunteer นี่20กว่าปี22ปีปลาย23เลยเด้อบ่มีจ่ายเงินจ่ายเอง
Yes, that's okay, right. You get to showcase your beauty and the kindness. So we thank you for your long time service as well. So anyway, and in return, what we do, we introduce to our community members and people general and large to know that we exist here as a Laoradio for our mission statement. It's we want to pass on this Lao language to younger generations and to people who are either growing up here or born here, that knowing that Laotian language exists, and we want to preserve our culture, our religion, our what you call papeni.
What is it?
My what?
ประเพณีจังได๋เดี๋ยวว่ามีแบบ
culture, yeah, our
culture ว่าภาษาอังกฤษบ่เรียน
to pass on to the younger generation
yes.
forever. So that's our purpose to have this Laoradio, because I'm growing up here, and then without Laoradio I don't speak Lao really good. Now I come to help good all the time, not all the time as much as she does, but it helps improve my language tremendously. So, but anyway, today we have invited you to come to explain the process and the program available, not only from your services only, but to help our members, our committee members, to understand the process, what happened if we pass away. And this program I call is to create peace of mind, that knowing our family don't live with burdens, that either financial burdens or personal and mental burdens, that what do we do from here? What do we do? Where do we go? How do we prepare ourselves? So that's what it
หลั
is.
งจากนั้นก็จะบอกภาษาลาว
Yeah. So anyway เกิดอธิบายให้เพิ่นฟังเป็นภาษาลาวหน่อยนึงได้บ่เอ่ย
ขน้อยอันนี้นะอันข้าแม่เพิ่นสิมาขน้อยพวกขน้อยคือว่าพวกขน้อยสิว่าอันเชิญขมาเว้าในเรื่องเพิ่นสิเว้าเรื่อง funeral home มีแนวใดเหตุแนวใดที่ว่าอันเพิ่นมีอันนั้น planning insurance ประกันภัย
มีเฮามีหมด that's why Camille, he will explain everything, the services available, and then these services it's so vital that we don't want to talk about it, but we cannot really escape.
คนน้อยนี่เรื่องคนลาวเพิ่นถือบ่เป็นหยังนี่ธรรมดาของธรรมดาเฮาต้องรู้จักอนาคตเฮาสิแพลนเฮาสิวางแผนจังได๋ให้ชีวิตของเฮามันสบายบ่แม่นสบายเฮาได้สบายลูกสบายเต้าสบายหลานจังซั่นบ่มีที่ว่าให้เป็นห่วงครอบครัว the family ให้เพิ่นเข้าใจว่าคันเฮาเฮ็ดไปแล้วมันความง่ายให้ครอบครัวเฮาสำใดนะ
แม่นละ
yes
แม่นละ yeah so true so anyway I call this session today is a create peace of mind for เฮายังมีชีวิตอยู่ when we still alive or when we die our family is going to be in at peace and also they will not be encounter all the hardship financially and personally
right yeah
so anyway before I introduce to this session today I would like to thank you again for your ongoing support and also and also we want to let you know that this is one of the session that we do to introduce to our members as either through Zoom we did in the past in the Zoom and also in-person presentation that we normally carry on twice a year but this time we going to try to do it sometime in early fall to have a person presentation again and we will invite you to come and speak to our members again too not only preparation for funeral but the benefits of the government programs and the legal aspects of services so on and so forth and without further ado I would introduce you to Mr. Camille the director of the Lotus Funeral and you have to look at your beautiful face
คนน้อยเพิ่นเขามาเป็นเจ้าของ funeral home เด้อคนน้อยเด้อผู้ใจบุญขนาดได้นี่นะใจบุญ
Well, thank you for having me here today. And firstly, I think the entire community is benefiting from, people like you who volunteer your time to make, the community a better place to keep the culture alive, as you said, right? It's very important for the next generations to connect with the older generations, to continue the culture in the future to come.
You said better than me. Thank you so much.
Well, this is something that is difficult for a lot of people to talk about. When it comes to, nobody wants to think about passing away, right? They're going to live forever.
It's a taboo topic.
It is a taboo topic to some people, right? But this is something that it will affect everyone in life. You could be younger or older or middle-aged. It will happen. And I think the more we talk about it, the more you're able to plan. So when the time comes, it's not a rush. You don't know what to do because at that time, there's a lot of emotions. At that time, you could be angry, you could be very sad. It's very difficult to make decisions. So when you have all this information ahead of time, at a peaceful mind, then you can make better decisions as opposed to when it's very emotional, you can make wrong decisions.
Can I that's one ขณะนี้คำว่าเพิ่นอธิบายให้เด้อคนเฮานี่มันต้องคันสิเว้าชีวิตไผก็ไปบ่อนเดียวแต่ว่ามีแต่ให้พ่อแม่พี่น้องเตรียมพร้อมเพราะว่าบ่ต้องแก่บ่ว่าเฒ่าบ่นมไปคือกันแต่ว่านึงความเสียใจลำเพิ่นบ่อยากเว้าแต่อันนี้มันเป็นของธรรมดาพอเฮาวางแผนไว้มันสะดวกคือหน่อยว่าสะดวกสบายต่อ family ต่อครอบครัวต่อลูกหลานเฮาบ่มียุ่งเพราะว่าเพิ่นมาอธิบายจังซี่อันคันเข้าใจแล้วเฮาก็ภูมิใจเพราะว่าทุกคนเฮาไปบ่อนเดียว
อันนั้นน้องอยากว่าอีกแนวนึงว่า two things is certain in our lives is death and taxes and death so that's why the session today we cannot escape those two things taxes in Canada that is or in North America and death so these two things that we know is going to happen but we don't want to talk about it so we're going to talk about it today anyway because it's peace of mind that we want to have when we still here and or we go.
Yeah, I think one of the most important things, is to have a will. Because when you have a will, that is something that's going to help make this whole process much easier. So that's something we're going to talk about first.
Okay. So when you talk about wills, I would say, will or wills?
Well, will is singular, wills is plural, right?
So there's any different kinds or
Well, a will essentially, what it is all your property, your assets. It's really to understand how you want to give those property assets to all the beneficiaries, all your family, your friends, or even charities that will receive that after you pass away.
So basically, do you want to see your belongings, like assets or properties or sentimental,
anything
to
of
go
value.
to the right place? Yeah. So good. This is very important ให้เกิดว่าให้
ขน้อยเรื่องเนาะคือเฮามีมูลมั่งสังขยาว่าซั่นเนาะมูลมั่งแล้วเพิ่นอยากให้มีวิวหมายถึงวิวว่าเฮามอบมูลแล้วบ่ลกหรือเส้นให้ผู้ใดผู้หนึ่งได้หับถ้าเฮาเป็นหยังมาลูกเฮาได้หับแล้วก็บ่เป็นของรัฐบาลคันสิว่าเอาเลยนะ
คนลาวเป็นมรดกเนี่ยมรดก
ก็มรดกค่ะมันอันนั้นขน้อยก็เป็นมูลมรดกเฮามีคันเฮาเซ็นให้เนาะในครอบครัวผู้ใดผู้หนึ่งที่ว่าเฮาเชื่อใจอาจจะเป็นของผู้นั้นหรือว่าแบ่งแต่ละเปอร์เซ็นต์บอกผู้หนึ่ง50ผู้หนึ่ง30 40จังซั่นค่ะมีลูกหลายแต่ว่าเป็นยังมาแหละมันบ่ไปหารัฐบาลมันมาหาลูกครอบครัวลูกเต้าเฮาตาเฮาตายแม่นหยังคือบ่มีอันประกันของไปเอาไปเสียก็ได้อันนั้น
So now to create the will, do we have to go to a lawyer or can we do handwritten will?
Well, quite honestly, the most best way to protect your assets is actually doing it through a lawyer. Because if you have a lot of things, and a lot of people have family, and unfortunately when someone passes away, you may have the best relationships, but after that things may not be as good. So people may fight after someone passes away for properties or anything of value. So when you have it properly done through a lawyer, it makes it more difficult to challenge that. When you have it written by hand and you do these things like what they call holographic wills, it's easier to challenge. And that's why going through lawyers makes it more difficult to change
on your own, yes.
Yeah, because it's done properly through a legal licensed lawyer.
Oh, I mean we don't have to go to the lawyer.
Yes, we do have
We
to
do.
go.
It's recommended.
Well, it's highly recommended. คือเราเว้าหันหมายความว่าคันถามว่าเฮาเขียนเองหั่นนะ it still has some great impact, but people can เขาเจ้าต่อสู้ได้หั่นน่ะเพราะว่า an handwriting เพราะว่า is he's forced to write or is he writing by somebody? So if you go to a lawyer, มันบ่ easy.
The fact is, if you don't have really anything and you write it down by hand, okay, that's fine. Especially if you don't really have anything. But if you have some things or many things of value,
yes.
I would do it properly through a lawyer.
ขน้อยเรื่องอันเฮ็ดวิวเนาะมุ่นมรดกว่าซั่นเนาะให้พ่อให้พี่น้องให้น้องให้นุ่งให้ลูกให้หลานว่าซั่นนะดีที่สุดให้ไปหาทนายความหรือว่า lawyer อันนี้ไปว่าเฮาบ่มีเสียงถ้าว่าเฮาเขียนตัวเองหรือว่าข่าวลังเทื่อคือว่าโอ้ยค่อยคมให้เจ้าเขียนว่าจังซั่นมันจะไปฟ้องกันมันสิยากมันสิแบ่งโอ้ยค่อยสิแบ่งให้จังซี่แต่ว่าถ้าไปทนายความแล้วมีอยู่หั่นแหละมันขึ้นไปฮอดอันไปขึ้นฮอดอีหยังก็ได้ทะเบียนเนาะว่าซั่นเนาะถ้ามีบ่มีไผสิไปแข่งกันคนสิฟ้อง
เพราะว่ามันอยู่ใน will
มันอยู่ในเวลแต่ว่าคันว่าเหตุแท้ๆหัดไปหาทนายความเด้อคนน้อยเลยเด้อมันอันนี้มัน 100% โลดบ่มีไผสิมาสู้บ่มีไผสิมาฟ้องให้เฮาทั้งบ่จักคันได้ลูกหลายมีพี่น้องหลายเงินหลาย
อย่างขอให้อันน่ะคอยผู้รับฟังของเฮาเทื่อหน้าอันน่ะติดต่อเด้อเพราะว่าพวกกันน้อยสิอันเซิร์นอัน lawyer มาเว้าอยู่อันให้ผู้รับฟังได้ฮู้นํกันว่าเฮ็ดวิวเฮ็ดแนวใดพวกกันน้อยมีวางแผนแล้วสิเอา lawyer มาอันออกอากาศอีกโมงกาว่า3 4ทิศนี่เด้อติดต่อเด้อค่ะน้อยเด้อ Okay so that's anything else you want to add to the will?
Yeah, in the will there's parts that you have to select people, right, who are going to deal with the will. One of the most important positions is what they call the executor. And the executor is the person that is going to be in charge of making sure everything that's in the will is going to happen. Now the thing is, choosing an executor, it's important because you want to make sure that person understands how to, what they call, navigate through the process, right? Because if you select a person who really doesn't know anything, that may not be the right choice because they make mistakes that will cost the estate a lot of money. So it may not be like an immediate family member. It could be your lawyer who could be the executor. It could be a company
banker.
that you hire, right, in an institution that,
Right.
but they charge a percent of your will. But again, those are for more people who have a lot in their will, like a lot of money they will have to manage. Because if you choose somebody who doesn't understand that money, you want someone who's smart enough to understand that.
Is it very crucial that the executor, if we choose family members?
You could, but understand also that in many cases, the executor actually has to pay out money in terms of process the will because there's some immediate requirements to pay money first, but the money that you have to use is your own personal money or the executor's personal money who gets reimbursed by the estate later. So if the executor has no ability to pay anything, maybe that's not the right person.
I see what you mean because you're not going to access the asset until everything's settled.
Yeah, because sometimes, in many cases, the assets are all frozen because of courts. And then the executor has to, the process requires payments to court, payments for things, and it comes out of their own money. But then there's an amount, they'll get that back, right? From the estate.
I see from my personal experience. I work at the bank. The wife and the husband, they have the husband died, and the wife did not get access to funds until things settled. That was taken 6 months to almost 8 months. So she has no money to pay for the lawyer, to pay for the process. So then they seize her house.
Yeah.
So that's very important what you just mentioned. So เกิดอธิบายให้ผู้รับฟังเขาฟังว่า executor he has or she or he has to be able to provide financially costs to get things done and then he getเราได้เงินคืน
ก็คืออันนี้นะเรื่องไปเรื่องอมูลมรดกยังคือกันต้องมีผู้ใดผู้หนึ่งเป็นผู้บริหารหรือบริการบริหารเขาหน่อยบริการเอาน้ำกันหั่นแหละเนาะแต่ว่าให้มีผู้หนึ่งซะอันนี้เว้าถึงว่าคือเพิ่นเว้านี่แม่นผู้มีเงินหลายอีหลีซั่นน่ะคือซุมเฮาเล็กๆน้อยก็เพิ่นหยังแต่ว่าถ้าว่าผู้นั้นต้องมีเงินถ้าเป็นหยังมาแล้วเพิ่นจะจ่ายก่อนแล้วเพิ่นส่งคืนให้
เพราะว่าคันเฮาต้องจับบิ๊กคันเฮาต้องการเอาแบบ professional help ถึงจะเพราะว่าคันเฮามีเถียงกันนะสมมุติว่าครอบครัวเถียงกันว่าค่อยต้องเอาได้ 50% not 40 so the executive ต้องเอาเงินมาจ้าง lawyer หันก่อนแล้วบัดละ everything done แล้วเราจึงได้เงินคืน reimburse คืน
โอเคจังซั่นแล้วก็อะไรแปลว่าคันสิว่าหมายถึงว่าผู้เงินหลายคือเพิ่นว่ามีเงินหลายแต่แท้จังนะอันเล็กๆน้อยๆก็บ่เป็นหยังบอกกันตื่นบ่เป็นหยังขนาดมันไปรับถามไปแล้วถามอีกมันง่ายกว่าเพราะเฮามีเวลาหลายแต่ตัวนี้
อันน้องสิ summary หน่อยนึงเด้อ executive หันหมายความว่าอัน what Camille suggest เฮาเอาคนอยู่ในครอบครัวก็ได้แบบเป็นญาติพี่น้องก็ได้แล้วเป็น professional คือว่า lawyer บอกคือว่า banker บอก or somebody who are in the business แต่ว่าให้ระมัดระวังแนวนึงว่าถ้าว่ามีข้อผิดเถียงกัน executive เขาต้องเอาเงินมาได้จ่ายค่าmediation first แล้วบัดนั้นeverything แล้วหมดส่วนอันสุดแล้วเขาจึงได้เงินคืน executive ถูกจ่ายคืนเพราะว่า whatever cost that involved into the process okay เท่านั้นเนาะ
and the next part so keep in mind that in a will an executor is in charge once someone passes away but there are cases when people are still alive that you have to deal with certain matters and that's what they call power of attorney
okay yeah
power of attorney there are two parts of power of attorney now keep in mind what happens is power of attorney is in effect when somebody is unable to make their own decisions let's say they get dementia or they're in an accident and they're mentally not able to make decisions properly because they're incapacitated so then the power of attorney becomes in charge right the power of attorney for your health and power of attorney for your finances
Another power of attorney that I encounter because I'm in the business of financing and real estate. We call power of attorney for property. That means
ธนาคารว่าซั่นเนาะ
yeah no power of attorney หมายความว่าเฮาเอาสิทธิ์ให้ผู้คือสมมุติว่าเกิดเป็น power of attorney for your daughter เนาะสมมุติว่า your daughter คันเราอันบ่มีอันความสามารถที่จะตัดสินใจเฮ็ดแนวใด1มาแม่นเราเป็นเจ็บไข้หั่นนะให้เกิดตัดสินใจให้เราได้ so we call power of attorney หมายความว่า legal power that should do things for on your behalf
It's not like ทนายความเนาะ
no it's not like ทนายความ someone like
can be
to give เอาสิทธิ์ให้เจ้านะเอาสิทธิ์ให้เกิดว่าคันถ้าว่าข่อยเจ็บเป็นม้าข่อยตัดสินใจหยังบ่ได้ให้เจ้าตัดสินใจให้ข่อยคือสมมุติว่าอันนี้ว่าแบบแจ้งเนาะสมมุติว่าคนผู้นึงอยู่ในห้องหมอ in a hospital he's in แบบ in the condition that he cannot make any decision he cannot talk he cannot eat so ก็แล้วสมมุติอันเราใกล้สิตายซะเนาะแล้วบัดนี้เกิดแล้วหมอถามว่าเกิดอันนั้นให้เราอยู่หรือว่าเขาสิ take off the life support บอก you can decide for him they call you as a power of attorney so power of attorney for personal or medical care for him so you have right จะมีสิทธิ์เฮ็ดให้เราได้ so I'm explaining to her the type of power of attorney because she's not familiar yet so power of attorney means you have power to decide for the person.
Okay.
Yeah, and sometimes let's talk about the power of attorney for your health. When you choose somebody to be your power of attorney for your health, you should tell them, let's say I'm the person and I chose you for my power of attorney. I would tell you the things that I would want. So in other words, let's say you talked about if I'm on life support and I know that I won't survive, then I would have told you, listen, disconnect life support because I don't want to live like that, right? So you've kind of given a list of things like do not resuscitate is another one that, you know.
หมายความว่าบ่ให้มัดให้เอา life support ให้ค่อยอีก yeah คือสมมุติว่าเกิดเว้าบ่ได้แล้วใกล้สิตายแล้วเนาะบ่ให้เอา life support ให้ค่อยไปเลย so he tell you ก่อนเราสิตายก่อนเราสิเจ็บSo let's say if I decide to have you as my power of attorney so น้องบอกเกิดว่าเกิดถ้าว่าน้องเป็นม้าอันคือว่าใกล้สิตายแล้วนะบ่ให้เอา life support ให้น้องเขาresuscitate yeah อันน่ะบ่เอา life support ให้ค่อยไปเลย yeah so แบบเกิดตัดสินใจให้เราได้ But are these power of attorneys in written form, right? Oh, it's in the will. Okay. Yeah. In separate will from asset?
Exactly. So that would be a section that deals with power of attorneys, right? Again, a lawyer would draft it properly. And then power of attorney for your financial property, these kind of things.
Same thing.
That is something you have to be very careful. And I'll tell you why. The reason is that, you know, when you are a parent and you have children and you love your children, you may have one of them to become your power of attorney, right? Especially when the other parent may have passed away, so you have one parent left. So that parent will choose one of their children. So that means you're going to trust all your property decisions, meaning your bank account, they have access to it, right? So they can take money out, they'll pay your bills for you. And sometimes children go into their own personal problems. So now they have access to your money. So what you see happening, unfortunately, is these children, or it could be somebody else, starts taking that money for their own personal problems to use.
That happened.
Yeah. And then
I came across.
Yeah. So this is why you have to be very careful. You choose someone power of attorney for your property, your finances. Someone who's very stable. You know, someone who's not going to take advantage of that. Right?
Well, that is very important information. So ขอให้หมดทุกคนอันแบบคันสิตัดสินใจแนวใดให้เบิ่งก่อนว่าแนวใดมันสำคัญและแนวใดมันสิเป็นสมควรสิเฮ็ดว่าเอาผู้ใดเป็น power attorney or or being in the will. So this is something that we think about it, but we never do what we supposed to do before.
ที่
It's
ว่า
too
อัน
late.
นี้แม่
Yeah.
ผู้ตัดสินใจให้เฮาว่าซั่น
แม่นละ
อย่าผู้ตัดสินใจให้เฮา
Our journey.
yeah
So and then another things that I my work and related issue is called probate, because you know, when we do register the properties to somebody, and can you talk about this issue? I know we have a lot to talk about because right now we have half an hour more, so I hope you catch your golf game today. Thank you again for coming
of course.
for this beautiful Sunday. So let's talk about probate, what it means.
Well, you know how you said earlier you can't avoid death and taxes? Well, taxes also have to be paid when someone passes away. So what happens is with probates is your assets will go through the courts, right? In some cases. So basically, in these cases, there's a value that's paid based on your assets. So a percentage is paid to government for when someone passes, their assets are frozen, then they're assessed and a percentage is paid for taxes, right? So, and that's something that again is something that people unfortunately have to go through a legal process that way.
So this tax is based on your asset values, right? So let's say Mr. John passed away. So his asset is including properties and investment account and cash account and related home items.
It could
So
be, yeah.
all of these has to be into a pool and then evaluated and probate on that,
right? Right. So the thing is, the answer is yes and no, because if, let's say, you have a house, right, and you have on title, the person who passes away, they passed away, but on title you still have maybe one of the children, or you have the other spouse still on title. So that house is not going to go through probate, right? Because they're still on title, right?
Yes.
And also you should also get a good financial planner, because if you have listed beneficiaries already listed in your financial planning, your investments and that, it may not go through the probate process, right?
Okay,
because there's already listed. Yeah. So that's why it's very important that you do have a financial planner to assist to minimize your tax exposure.
Yeah, okay, that's very important about the properties, because there's the title, registered title, if one person pass away and then if it's not common title, they call 50-50, so the person will be 100% of the property go to the one who is still alive. If we do have one of the title called common title, that registered title common, that 50-50, that's what happened to one of my clients when I was at the bank, that she cannot access to the property because 50% is belong to the deceased husband, and then she got 50. So she cannot touch it until she pay tax on the 50%, the probate tax. So that's something that we have to be careful. And when you purchase a house or refinance the house, when the lawyer asks you, you want to do for common title or you want to do just like a 100% go to you if your spouse passed away, or vice versa. So make sure you discuss that with the lawyer when you do title of the property.
อันนี้ว่าเรื่องซื้อเฮือนบ่น้องเนาะ
And probate
probate แปลว่าการตัดสิน
No, probate หมายความว่าคือสมมุติว่าตายเนาะอันนี้ว่าความจริงเนาะอันบัดนี้คือมีเงินอยู่ในแบงค์$1 million. Okay, when you pass away you have $1 million that belong just to you. บ่ได้มีผู้ใดซื้อ you don't have beneficiary, you don't have the person who co-sign with you. So the money has to go to the government for tax first before they can pass it on to the family. เขาเอิ้น probate.
probate ก็คือ
Yeah,
อันนี้บ่เคยได้ยิน
yeah.
ตัวห้ามบ่จัก
Probate หมายความว่าเขาเสียได้ tax government. I think the rate is about 1.5%.
Per 100,000.
Yeah, per 100,000. So if you have million, you multiply that by 10 times. It's pretty steep. So we have to be more careful when we plan this ahead of time คันเฮาเป็นคนห่าง if you rich or not even rich you know when you have asset to pass it on to the heirs
okay hi just one second ให้เอาอัน station ID
okay so we have a
hold on
This is AM 1430 CHKT Fairchild Radio Toronto
I want to talk about the most important so we have only about 20 minutes left and then I think this topic is so crucial that we all have to know but it's not something that we can discuss in half an hour or 45 minutes but today we're going to touch the surface what are the most important things that we need to know today one thing that I want to talk before the prepaid the funeral service it's about travel insurance because travel insurance that I think she bought it for herself
and me and my sister
for her family member
yes
because we don't even know until we met you
true
so a lot of our people means like our community members travel around the world or go back home for a long period of time and God Lord behold that we don't expect that we're gonna something happen to us so sometimes our family member die over there and we have to bring them home so I understand you have a travel insurance to cover to bring back the body so can you talk about that
and you're right unfortunately when people travel things happen in life right and if you pass away you know especially in another country or you know far distances it's very expensive to bring the person back to your home let's say in Toronto because most of the family obviously live by the person right everyone's in Toronto all the families around so if you pass away let's say in Brazil you're not going to have a funeral in Brazil you're going to bring the person back here right because not all the family's going to travel to Brazil Mexico right you're not going to have a funeral in Mexico you want to hear here right for all the family to be here so it's very easily in terms of cost it'll be in excess of $10,000 US to bring someone back
to pay to the government of Mexico
you pay for the cost of whoever is doing the you know bringing the person back to that company in the country to bring the person back so what I'm saying is just it's very expensive and that doesn't include the funeral that's just to bring somebody back
just to have the body moved
and it could be more depending on where it could be $15,000 or $20,000 it all depends on where they passed away right so what happens is there's a special travel insurance and for a one-time cost of $595 and that's one time not every year if you pass away outside your home and that could be in the US it could be in Asia it could be in South America or in the Arctic it would be zero cost to bring you back because the insurance is going to pay everything and so you get a card into international
so this is one time in your life you just pay once
and you'll get a card and in that card have an international phone number and no matter where you are in the world you call the number they'll take care of everything they'll take care of the body preparation all the documentation everything required to bring the person back here because that is very stressful imagine you're in a foreign country and someone passed away in your family that you're traveling with you have to understand how to do everything nobody knows what to do
no
right so that's why companies like this they know exactly how and it doesn't matter
so
what
you
country.
just report
just report they take over everything right?
so stressless
and then the person is brought back to Toronto and then we like us like a funeral home will take over from the airport
you just go pick up the body and then you do what we have to do so that's I call that's a peace of mind that we know because you did give us one example of somebody passed away in Mexico that's why I say Mexico because we don't want to have funeral in Mexico so I think it also has some impacts on the government charge to have the or is
Well,
that including
no, I think-
10,000 or something?
I'll tell you what I think that story was, and it's actually in Cuba.
Cuba,
There was
okay.
somebody who passed away in Cuba.
Cuba
Yeah, and just to bring the body back, it was about $10,000 US. But the Cuban government, some official there says, well, you have to pay us another $10,000 to release the body. So that
that's
was
what
more
it
of
was,
a
yeah.
kind of a
Yeah.
someone wanted a bribe. You know, like you can't control what's going to happen
Yes.
in these countries, and that's why when you have these insurances, they cover all the costs, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
you're not out of pocket.
Including bribe.
You know, you don't know what's going to happen.
So anyway, that is very important because if somebody interested about get to know about this travel insurance
Mhm.
coverage, please contact Akamgurt anytime because she
Anytime,
can
yeah,
get
yes,
in
yes.
ภาษาลาว so she can get in touch with Patricia or
Patricia,
Kamal
Yeah.
and get this in place.
And
so
one important thing I want to mention is there's nothing that will prevent you from getting it. Because a lot of people say, well, I'm sick, I might even have cancer and all that. You're automatically approved.
There's
No health
condition-
questions are asked.
no underlying conditions.
No conditions.
No, wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, I just want to add on because sometimes when you go to Mexico or Punta Cana or Cuba, sometimes we eat something that we don't know. It's a poison,
Yes.
let's say food poisoning. We have no idea that could happen to us. I'm not saying that we're going to die regardless, but to prevent this happening to our family members, that it's a financial burden that we cannot imagine to bring that body out back to by ourselves. So I cannot stress enough that $595 peace of mind for the rest of your life of the person. And no matter where we go, to Laos, Thailand, to visit,
Everywhere.
you know that you're going to come back to where you want to be, you know. So that's what I want to stress on that. So in the benefit of time, I just want to make sure that we get this information that we want to know, how to prepare ourselves. So can you tell us, explain a little bit of, not detail because we don't have too much time, how to get our funeral service prepared?
Yeah, so, you know, one of the things people ask is, why should I pre-plan my funeral or prepay my funeral? Look, this is something, as we said earlier, it's going to affect each and one of us at some point in our lives, right? But one of the benefits is really locking in today's price. I'll give you an example from an actual thing that happened. There was a lady who pre-arranged her funeral in 1979, okay?
Because she knows she's going to die one day.
Well, she decided she wants to do it, right? 1979. You know how much she paid at that time? It was $1,900, okay? She was Christian and she had this service and a Christian service.
And how she wants it too.
Yeah, how she wanted it. She passed away last year. For exactly what she would have to pay at last year's price for what she wanted, it would have been close to $10,000. But you know what? She didn't have to pay anything.
No.
Everything was locked in. All the services, all the, items, the casket, everything was locked in at that price. I'm not saying the cost is $10,000, but I'm saying for what she wanted, right? Because the cost could be much lower, but I'm just telling you that every year the prices go up. So when someone prearranges their funeral, they lock in the price. So they're not paying a price in 15, 20 years from now, they're paying now.
So yeah, that's something in investment we call hedging. เพราะว่าคันถามว่าเฮาไป we wait until the day เนาะอันน่ะเฮาบ่ฮู้ว่าราคามันสิขึ้นเพราะว่าคือไปซื้อของกินคือกันเขาเอิ้น inflation right เพราะว่า if we buy something $2 last year, this year is going to be $3.50 because of the inflation. So หมายความว่า if you pre-plan this ahead of time now, let's say whatever the price this year, you lock in. Let's say 10 years from now you die, you don't have to worry about the price increase.
My sister got it with her partner. Yeah, she bought it.
Yeah.
Yes. ก็มีเอื้อยของเขาน้อยซื้อเลยเด้อกับอันนั้นเพิ่นหมู่เพิ่น เพิ่นซื้อแล้ว
she bought it yeah
Oh yeah
so that's something that we don't think about it again like I said earlier two things sure is taxes and death so if you think about it today call a Cupgood and then we make arrangement for
Same,
you to
you too.
yeah
Yes
Cupgood or myself
Oh two
we can
yeah.
we can
กินน้อยเอาเลี้ยง
connect
so
you
all of
yeah
us
we can connect you or Lian yeah Lian and Gina Noi all of us from Laoradio members so we can connect you with Patricia or Patricia she's a general manager
she's the prepayment
Yeah.
manager she manages all the prepayment people
Yeah.
but also the benefit is also you can spread these payments over time
you
So
can
when-
make
yeah,
the
you-
installment
yeah you
Yeah.
don't have to pay for everything at once let's say people want to pay I don't know $60-70 a month right you can spread it over years so it's easier
yeah
to handle
so and then before I forgot I just want to let the listener know that the Lotus Funeral we have two locations one is in
Kitchener
one is Kitchener and one is
in Toronto.
Etobicoke yeah in Toronto
now pretty well known so
yeah and then on top of that we have not only burial and also cremations so that I'm a salesman for you
Yeah. And we do the cremations in our building
exactly
Yeah.
yes that's what everybody likes
and one thing we pride ourselves on at Lotus Funeral is that we want to do it according to all the rituals, customs of the faith. So in particular, let's say the Buddhist faith, right? The monks come to do their chanting. We provide all the necessary requirements to make sure it's done authentically according to the faith.
Thank you
well I always thank you for Richard is that Richard his name or Edward
Richard is one of the
Yeah, I
staff
know.
members
I know.
who
He's
is
the best
yeah is the Buddhist
Yeah. You got the
Mhm.
Buddha right here
Okay.
what is that tattoo that
so yeah I think we cover quite a bit but like I
Yes,
said the detail of everything is really
Yes.
eye-opening for us but today we cannot cover everything
no
so we are planning to have our in-person presentation again in
Yes.
sometime in August or September
yeah
when the things slow down because summertime everybody's busy and like you're going for golfing I'm jealous like I don't golf anyway
nice weather anyway
but
huh?
before we close it for today is any program from the government assistance to those who cannot afford on their own
Yes. So, if someone passes away and they don't have the funds to cover the funeral, you can try to apply for government, and we assist on that, by the way. What happens
so
is...
you pretty much hold us to say okay this is what we
We would kind of guide the family because the application has to be made by the family. So there are different regions within Toronto GTA. So there's York region, obviously Toronto region, Peel region, Halton region. Each one has their own program to help assist families. But there is an application process. And usually what happens is there's a few questions asked. And one of the first questions is, the person who passed away, do they own any property? And the answer typically has to be no, because it's meant for people who are in needy, right? Like they rent, right? They don't own any property, rent. Second is they're going to want to see a printout of their bank account for the last 3 months up to present. So they can have some money in there because people have to, pay rent, buy groceries, but they can't have a lot of money, right? So if they have like an excess of $5,000, you're going to say, well, you have enough money to pay for it. We're not going to assist you.
I see there is a
And the third thing,
stipulation
yeah, and the third thing is life insurance, and they're going to check for that because in the printout of the bank accounts, they're looking for automatic payments that are going out for life insurance policies,
got it
right?
okay.
So if you have life insurance, they're going to say no too, right? So those are the typical questions they would ask.
So, but you will guide individual when they come.
Yes.
They said, okay, my family member die, and so that's a question start, and then you're gonna go forward or no.
Yes,
Okay.
right. So we'll guide them through, what area do you live in, and then we'll get the phone number. We'll help them through that process. And if they do get approved, then like you can say like 95% of the cost has been
Yeah.
covered.
So good. And then เขาบ่มีเวลา translate น้องสิถามแล้ว last question
Okay
now we know somewhat the most juicy and important information about the peace of mind preparation but now where do we go if somebody just died today then what do I do what do I start what do I do
yeah well the first thing you would do like depending on the situation right if they pass away at home let's talk about different scenarios right because it's hard to answer that question without understanding if you pass away at home and it's unplanned meaning you came home you call 911 obviously right
okay
and what they'll do is the emergency services will come and perhaps a coroner will come to the home because they have to determine if this is going to go to the coroner for further investigation especially if they're young
the coroner mean มีคนเขาเจ้าแบบมากวดว่าเราตายย้อน accident บ่เราตายย้อนสาเหตุอย่างมันคือกันกับบ่แม่นตำรวจแต่ว่าเป็นคนที่ว่ารู้จักว่า investigate ว่าเราตายย้อนเนี่ยสาเหตุ yes okay
and if the coroner says no go ahead and call the funeral homes natural causes and then we're open 24 hours 7 days a week so if even a call comes 3 in the morning we will come to the home and we'll transfer the loved one into our care
now
right away yeah if the person passes away in a hospital, the person usually is moved to the morgue, which is the refrigeration in the lower part of the building. But typically you call us, like a funeral home, and then we start the process with the family, right?
Okay. Well, I think that's a good overall.
Yes.
I would say
Thank you to come
ถ้าว่าผู้ใดมีคำถามใดอยากพูดว่าเป็นภาษาลาวติดต่อพวกขน้อยได้ anytime เด้อ
ติดต่อพวกขน้อยเด้อค่ะ
โอเคขอบใจหลายๆ
Thank you
so much
ขน้อยขอบใจขน้อยหลายๆขอบใจขน้อยจะเปิดเพลงแล้วก็สิไปได้ขน้อยเด้อ Thank you เด้อ
Thank you